Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of your music roundup here at Music News Blitz. It's a very special episode today because we have a new guest. We've got Will Gardner here. He is a brilliant presenter at Music News Blitz. Will, why don't you tell us about yourself? Tell the viewers.
So I'm Will. My main music is pop and like R&B. So I like to talk about it. So why not? Why not carry it on?
Yeah, so Will's been making a lot of our social media videos. You'll see that across all of them, and it's often about the articles that we write here, because of course, the point of this podcast is to talk about the articles. And we're going to be talking about one thing today, again, special episode, and that is just Bad Bunny's halftime show at the Super Bowl. Really, really groundbreaking stuff. And we thought we'd dedicate an episode just to that because, yeah. Anyways, so we're going to go into initial impressions. I want to know from the three of you what you guys thought when you saw it at first. Obviously, there's a lot to unpack, but when you first saw it, what did you think? Nisha, let's start with you.
I thought it was really cool, first off. The staging, I think, as someone watching it not live and watching like videos and stuff of it, I think it looked so cool. I liked the real sense of community. Because I'd never listened to Bad Bunny before, but since watching the halftime performance, I've added a few songs to my playlist and I'm actually really enjoying them. So I think, yeah, I just think it was really cool and something really different.
Yeah, I actually saw a stat that after his performance, Spotify streams went up by like 407% or something insane
Wow.
like that. Which is so great. His music is fantastic. Will, what were your first impressions?
Well, I watched it live, so I was completely unexpected on what to see. And then it just felt like a massive party. You saw everyone from all these different walks of life, and it was just massive to see them all come together and bond over this on this massive stage. So I just felt like it was a massive party to celebrate everyone, and it was amazing to watch live.
Definitely. I definitely had a warm feeling in my soul when I watched it. Katie, what about you? Did you stay up to watch it, or did you like the rest of us wait to the next day? Because we're here based in the UK and South Africa. So, well, that's real dedication. Katie, what did you think?
I didn't stay up to watch it. I watched it this morning. But I'd never seen a Super Bowl halftime show before, so I went into it like completely blind. I didn't even know what Bad Bunny looked like until I watched it. But I was amazed. Like, it was just so extravagant. I thought it was going to be like one song. I didn't realize it was such like a big performance. I was a bit speechless, to be honest.
I think speechless is a really good word to put it. Speechless. I was also speechless. It was incredible. I was left there's so much to think about and unpack. And one of those is the cultural representation that we saw in this whole performance. I mean, we saw Puerto Rican and Latin cultural elements. They were everywhere there. Obviously, Bad Bunny, he's Spanish language speaking, and the Super Bowl did ask him to do it in English, and he said, "No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do Spanish." Great for him. So, according to, symbolic elements. Will, you talked about this a bit in your video. Why don't you get into that?
Yeah, so there was a lot. I mean, it was like this massive American stage, but in my video, I mentioned how he was unapologetically Puerto Rican. He brought so many aspects of his culture to this stage and presented it to a completely new audience. I think there's a stat right now. I'm not sure if there's official numbers, but it's saying there's about 135 million people watch the halftime show live, which is crazy. And then you have YouTube, which is at 50 million and it's counting. And to bring the aspects, like he started the show, it started as like a live sugar farm, and someone saying, when translated to English was how wonderful it is to be Latino. So to have like that initial message to start the show and then to carry that throughout in celebrating your culture was just amazing. And
Mm.
then throughout the beginning, you have it where he's visiting almost the small vendors and the small businesses that he would typically find that you probably won't find if you go to America. It's like something that is strictly Puerto Rican, strictly Latino. So I think that was quite amazing to see at the very beginning, and then it just carried on throughout with his staging. I mentioned the video you talked about the casita, which is traditional Puerto Rican housing, and for celebrities to be in that housing, that's something that they recognize from their childhood, and it's almost like they're returning to their own home, and Bad Bunny's brought this home to them.
Yeah, seeing this on a global stage, and this is global. It may be an American type of football experience, but it's everywhere. And I think people are learning. Katie, what do you think? Do you think that it's important that this is kind of being shown everywhere? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, absolutely. I don't think I quite realised till this year like what a big deal the Super Bowl is. I was looking back at like some of the artists they've had in the past, and obviously like it's always such massive people, and I think it's such a cultural moment. And obviously choosing Bad Bunny, I think, you know, it was very specifically done, and I think it says a lot about, you know, what they're willing to show on the stage. And obviously it was a big deal that he chose to do it in Spanish and said no to doing it in English. I just think it shows that he's really like, you know, he wants to be true to himself and the culture that he chooses to represent in his music as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you with that. And I mean, I think he made such a great balance between this symbolism and this commentary, but also celebrating it. So I think that was so beautiful. I think, yeah, it's just amazing. We're talking about cultural representation here, and that was seen a lot in Symbolism through the stage design, costume, styling choices, political references. Nisha, why don't you tell us about that? What did you notice or see online about anything on that point?
So I just want to actually call on, so there was 135 million people watching it live, and it's actually a record-breaking number for a Super Bowl halftime show. The last record was held by Kendrick Lamar last year, and that was 133.5 million. So even with all the kind of people saying it shouldn't be happening, he shouldn't be singing in Spanish, he still broke a record for the Super Bowl halftime. And I think that was really important, especially with everything going on in America at this minute. So I just think that was very cool, that he was able to do it. I think the culture stuff as well. And I actually saw a lot of like the bodegas and the food stalls and stuff like that. They were real food stalls, and they were actually from, I think, New York and California mainly, but they were real people and it was their real businesses. And he was giving them a light, which is something that I think can really like draw in the American audience, because they're in California, they're in New York, they're buying from these shops, they're eating the food. So it's for them to kind of realize, you know, these people are actually important to our culture, are important to the diversity of America.
Yeah, very inspiring. And I mean, on that note, kind of obviously we've seen everything going on with ICE, and the political climate in the US is crazy right now. There was one amazing moment in that performance where he handed his Grammy to his little self, who was watching him get it on screen. There were rumors about it was actually a child actor, but there were rumors that it was that 5-year-old child who was kidnapped by us. That isn't the case. That was debunked, but still almost showing the world, listen, I did this, and younger people who are of my ethnicity and anyone can do this. It doesn't matter. And that is so important considering what is happening. I found it, I mean, I was in tears when I watched that part. I think it was a beautiful moment. Will, did you notice any other, I guess, symbolic references in there?
Yeah, I feel like there was quite a couple. He talks about there's a moment where he's almost on these power lines, and he's dancing on these power lines, which is like the electrical grid. To I think last year, in 2024, 80% of the country was left in complete darkness, and it's like they are like not suffering, but like they're not doing so well as to daily average American life. And there is reasons why they may have to leave where they're from, but they should take that with them. And that's what Bad Bunny's done. Like he's took these issues and projected it to a global audience to like, hey, maybe we do need a bit more help, but we're still thriving and we're still celebrating ourselves, despite what is affecting us.
Yeah. And I think that goes a long way, especially in terms of education. I mean, Katie, did you learn anything from the performance?
Well, I'd say quite similar to Will. The thing that like really struck with me was just like what a celebration it felt like, because obviously there was a lot of like political meanings hidden in it, which I probably wasn't aware of before. But even though he was lacing in these really like serious issues, it just felt like the whole thing was still like very celebratory. It was just about people coming together really, more than like, it didn't feel like they were preaching, even though they probably have every right to. It felt like their focus was really positive.
Yeah, I think it was a perfect mix. And what really put like the icing on top of that cake was the ending to me, I think, when he talked about, America, not just the United States. He mentioned America, every single country. It's everyone involved. That kind of goes against the whole agenda that ICE is bringing across. And I thought that was so powerful. Oh, what a beautiful moment. And of course, we saw the only thing more powerful than hate is love, or something along those lines. I think just what a beautiful balance he brought through, because obviously there's so many negative and hurtful, harmful things going on in the world. And instead of turning it into something which he had every right to, something hateful and saying, how could you? He kind of embedded those moments into cultural and celebratory moments. And that kind of goes into the industry impact as well of music in the States and America. There's often been a focus more on American artists. We obviously saw Lady Gaga, who joined, which was really, really cool as well. So having joined and do her own rendition. Katie, what do you think about, a Spanish artist joining the Super Bowl? I mean, it's something probably 20 years it would have gone unheard of.
I mean, it's great. I think obviously just like politically, there's so much to be said straight away, but just that fact alone. But I think looking at the music industry, like in general at the moment, we are starting to see that we've obviously got so used to hearing everything in English, like all the big artists, they are in English for us. But I think we're seeing a shift in that now. Obviously, we've got Bad Bunny, you've got that new release from Rosalia as well, which there's like 12 different languages in that, but she's Spanish. And I think we're just starting to see this like slight shift now. I think everything's becoming slightly less anglicized, which is, I think it's a good direction to be going in.
Yeah, it's lovely. Nisha, what do you think about, the emergence? I know you're very much into music that kind of goes against the dominance or whatever. What do you think about any music that doesn't involve English? I guess we were talking about classical music the other day.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think?
I think if you just look at K-pop, I mean, that is so huge, and that's sometimes it's in English or has like elements of English, but a lot of the time it isn't, and that is such a huge fan bases for these K-pop artists. And I think I was doing a bit of research as well, and he's the 8th top artist on Spotify. Like, that is massive. And I actually looked, and there's 100 million more native Spanish speakers than native English speakers. So it's no doubt that people that speak Spanish love his music because it's really good. And then people that don't speak Spanish, like myself, his music is really good and you can enjoy it. And I think that's the great thing about music is you can get a message from a song without necessarily understanding the words. Like I really like a Dutch rapper, and he raps in Dutch and German, and I don't understand either of those languages. Yeah, I love that music.
Yeah. And isn't that the beauty of it? I mean, you don't need to know the lyrics. I'm pivoting here, but last night, my friend, me and my friend Luana, she's actually Brazilian. She was showing me Bad Bunny songs while we were on our way to McDonald's, and I was having the time of my life, guys. It's not about it being English or whatever. It's about the vibe, honestly. Brings across such a great vibe. It's so positive, it's so fun. I love it. I mean, Will, like we saw as well with, we was representing other artists. We saw Cardi B there. We saw so many names. I mean, Will, it's like a final reflection. What would you say?
Oh, I mean, there's so much to talk about. I mean,
Yeah,
even
go
though it's
ahead.
only even though it's only a 13, 14-minute performance that he carries out, there was just so many aspects to it, from the political comments to the cultural comments. Like even with a surprise performance from Gaga, I mean, that caught me completely off shock. But with Gaga, even though she sang Die With a Smile, she had this salsa rendition. She almost embraced the party and the vibe that Bad Bunny brought. So it wasn't like Gaga saw the limelight. It was like she knew how to support Bad Bunny in this in his message. So I think that was a massive thing. Um, as well as like on with the industry, I think since 2020, Bad Bunny's been the most popular artist on Spotify 4 out of the 6 years. I'm like, that is massive, and that's something that people won't actually realize. And in America, and I remember after the performance, the social on social media, I would see comments like, "I didn't understand a single word, but the vibes were completely there. Everyone had a great time. Everyone had a party, even though they didn't fully understand what was actually going on." And that final message personally would stick with a lot of people. I know for me, seeing on social media, people capture the one image of the only thing stronger than hate is love. That seeing that image go around everywhere on TikTok, on Instagram, is truly changing almost just what is going on, because he easily has the right to spread more hate and be hateful towards these organizations that are carrying out like ICE. Like he could be hateful towards them, but why should he if he can spread love? And it's almost this thing that is like it's influencing other people to spread more love. It's contagious. So if he can bring that, why not spread it to other people?
Contagious is such a great word. It is contagious. And I think I'm feeling quite uplifted after this performance. And I think we all are. We had a discussion about it beforehand. It's revolutionary. If we could put it all in one word, let's take a think about this. I do this with Nisha and Katie all the time, and I think they hate me for it, but I'm gonna do it again. So we've talked about, what did Will say? You said, what did you say? I literally just said it's a great word.
Contagious.
Contagious. Nisha, what would you say?
That's a tough one, because there's so much things I could say.
Yeah.
I think eye-opening. Hopefully for a lot of Americans that believe against having immigrants in the country, that their eyes will open and realize they're not bad. They make our country what it is.
Absolutely. I think my word would be, I'm gonna give myself two, because I would say celebration and inclusivity. Will, give us another one.
Oh, another one. Okay, well, I was gonna go with I think just uplifting. It was like the morale of everyone, of people in the stadium, people around the world. as I said before, people might not know the language, but they partied and they still embraced this culture that was maybe completely new to them.
Yeah. Katie?
I would say groundbreaking, just because I think it's going to make such a difference to, musical culture in general, to America, to who they look at to have on the Super Bowl next as well. I think he's just like really spun the narrative, and I think it's going to really change the direction that it all goes in from now.
Exactly. I love it. And I think that's a great way to end off today's episode. I think despite everything going on in the world right now, this performance was a really great uplifting thing that we needed in the world. So I think let's just remember here, we're here to celebrate music. We celebrate all kinds of music, and that's what we do here at Music News Blitz. We love it all. So I think this episode kind of sums up what we can. As to this performance, of course, there's so much more to unpack. And if needs be, we will make a second episode. But that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining. And here's to more revolutionary, eye-opening, celebratory, inclusive, everything performance and music. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Nisha and Katie, for joining me today. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.